Welcome to the Past People, where I will talk about the people of the past. Princess Victoria of Prussia was the fifth child of Frederick III, Emperor of Germany, and Victoria, Princess Royal, first daughter of Queen Victoria. She was named, as most of her granddaughters were, after her mother and grandmother. She was born on the 12th of April, 1866, in Potsdam Palace. Young Vicky was known to be her parents' favourite daughter, and she was also very close to her grandmother, Queen Victoria. This love from her family did not stop her falling into a deep depression after being forced into a loveless, unhappy and childless marriage. Victoria fell in love with Alexander of Battenberg, the Prince of Bulgaria, but the couple never married as they were fraught with opposition. She therefore was matched with Prince Adolf of Schaumburg-Lippe, who died during the First World War, leaving her a widow and childless. Bitter about her love life as a young woman, she unconventionally matched herself to a man 40 years younger, against her siblings' wishes. This was the ultimate betrayal, and resulted in her losing her title, citizenship, and wealth. Although she was initially happy, it did lead to her financial ruin and death. Young Vicky took after her English mother's passion for English traditions as well as her looks. She was charming and eccentric like her father, who allowed her to be free. And in 1881, Vicky fell deeply in love with a Bulgarian prince, Alexander of Battenberg, after her mother matchmade them, and initially people approved. However, her grandfather, Emperor Wilhelmine I, and his chancellor opposed the marriage due to a political issue with Tsar Alexander III of Russia, disagreeing with Alexander's actions in Bulgaria. Her parents still wished for her to marry her true love, but when her father died in 1888, her brother took to the throne and claimed his sister's matrimonial fate. During this period of uncertainty, Victoria became desperately thin and depressed. But this did not stop her brother marrying her off to a new man. He tried to match her with the Prince of Portugal, but Victoria would not convert to Catholicism, so the search for another groom continued. Determined to match his sister, and after a long year of searching for acceptable suitors, he finally found someone of whom the princess had an initial mutual attraction with, Prince Adolf of Schaumburg-Lippe. His proposal on June 11, 1890, was accepted by Victoria, and despite being engaged, her mother was never fully satisfied with the match and continued to find more suitable matches for her daughter. This angered her brother, and things became rather tense between the three of them. Victoria's older sister Charlotte had told their brother what was going on behind his back, and so to avoid further scandal with the princess, he convinced the queen that Adolf was the best match. The pair announced their wedding date, and on the 19th of November, 1890, the pair married in Berlin at the chapel of Schloss. The family attended the opera, and her mother hosted a banquet for the wedding party. They then enjoyed a honeymoon in Malta in Egypt. However, after their marriage, Adolf spent much of his time away, devoted to his duty, leaving Victoria alone much of her marriage. Never fully happy with her match, she did not remain faithful and wanted to divorce him for his nephew, but even after she was left widowed, her brother refused to allow the marriage. Her brother never approved of her matches, and when she met a Russian immigrant who was 35 years younger than her, he refused to accept their engagement. Victoria was unconcerned and had stopped caring at this point what her family thought of her love life. She gave up her title as princess to marry an ordinary person who had worked as an actor and a waiter. Her family refused to attend her wedding, and she would be heartbroken further when her husband was deported from Germany twice. She followed him to the Belgian Congo, but shortly afterwards she divorced him, leaving her without her titles and in financial ruin, moving out of her palace to a room that she rented. Despite still suffering desperately from depression, her family never supported her again, and she was left completely alone. She was found with a fever in the room she stayed in by a former servant and taken to hospital. She had given up on life after being left lonely and penniless and without forgiveness from her family for marrying a commoner. She died on the 13th of November 1929, and for a princess with such promise of a great future, she suffered a tragic life without love, before dying alone, in debt and abandoned by her family. And leave your suggestions below and I will endeavour to cover them. Please comment, like and subscribe if you wish for more stories.